Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm used to saying good morning or good night, so this good afternoon's new to me. So you're here because you're interested in finding out about a trip to Israel in the fall. So if you thought like a Tahiti, that's across the hall, but so this is for Israel. And what we're going to do, we have Trey here from Christian Expeditions, and in just a moment he'll come up and share with us. And what he'll do is kind of walk through as many front-loaded things as he can. They're preemptive to answer some of the questions that are very common, but also it stirs questions that you wouldn't have thought of. And then Trey will be available after that to answer any specific questions that you might have regarding the trip. So over the years, we've taken several trips to Israel. The reason for that is that we get to actually study the Bible where it happened. So we will be, we talk so much about, just looking at, you'll get the itinerary if you did in just a moment, but the first thing is Caesarea Maritime. That's where Paul was imprisoned for 2 years, awaiting trial to be sent to Rome. And we're on site at the remains of that. And so there's so many things, because Israel is the land of the Bible, there's so many events that happen that multiple times a day we find ourselves at a site where the Bible unfolded. And so it's remarkable. It'll help. Plus it's a wonderful retreat. We study the Word together. We worship together. We pray together. We eat together. We hang out together. So it's a wonderful time. So we make these trips available because it's almost like providing a year's Bible college, as well as an amazing adventure together. So I'm going to pass the mic off to Trey, if you'll give him a welcome. And we have used, over the years, as we've navigated our way, we've used a couple of different travel agencies, and we've kind of settled in with Christian Expeditions because they've been so easy to work with. And so one of the reasons that he's here is because he's able to represent the trip itself. I'm serving kind of as the host and Bible teacher, but they do the mechanics of it, and so they'll be able to share that. So, you ready?
Thank you so much, Pastor Jim. Thank you all for being here. I'm really excited that you're considering going to Israel. Our company has been bringing groups to Israel and other places like Greece and Turkey, places associated with the events of the Bible, for a long time. And it's because we believe strongly in the value of these trips to help you grow in your faith, in your understanding of the scriptures, and in fellowship with each other. When you travel with a group of fellow believers and you're having these awesome experiences in the place where the Bible occurred, number one, you'll never read the Bible the same way again when you've stood in the places where the events you're reading about took place. And number two, the bonds of Christian fellowship that are formed and fostered and deepened on trips like this is incredible. You'll make friends or deepen friendships that will last a lifetime, Christian friendships on trips of this kind. And that's what we're passionate about. That's why we do what we do. So I have a slideshow that's going to hopefully answer most of the questions that you might have. If we could go, please, to the first. So this probably, I'm thinking, is a question that a lot of people are thinking about, so I thought we'd head this one off in the beginning. Safety and security. So you see up there that our summary statement, which is Israel is safe and secure for travel. I'm sure every single person here knows what's gone on since October 7th of 2023. And rightly, understandably, you would have some concerns. I'm sure you would think twice maybe about going. So a few reasons why we say that it's safe and secure for travel. As you may know, there were two fronts in the war that Israel was fighting. There was a northern front. They were fighting against Hezbollah in Lebanon, and also Hamas in the south, which is in Gaza. The northern front is over. There's no more hostilities in the north. The hostilities in the south are ongoing, but they are not reaching outside of Gaza. It's very rare anymore that Hamas is able to get any rockets out of Gaza. When they do, they're usually shot down. When they're not shot down, they usually fall into open areas. When they don't fall into open areas, they do minimal damage. They don't have the ability to do much damage. Other things are going on too. You may have seen even just this morning, there's issues with the Houthis and people like that. But groups have been going to Israel, back to Israel now for quite a while. I've known personally many people who have gone with a group or on their own to Israel in recent months, and they all report unanimously that their trips were pretty much, they were unaffected. They wouldn't have known that there was anything going on. In short, life is going on as normal in the vast majority of Israel. People are going to work, people are going out to a restaurant after work, people are living essentially normally in Israel. The U.S. Department of State has an advisory level. It gives an advisory on every country worldwide, a travel advisory to let you know, its citizens know about the relative safety of that place. Israel is currently listed as a level 3, reconsider travel. For comparison, that same advisory has been issued on the countries of Jamaica, Egypt, Colombia, in short, countries which most of us wouldn't hesitate to go to. I was just in Egypt, which is also level 3, a couple of months ago, and of course, everything was fine. So they're not saying, importantly, they're not saying not to travel. They're classifying it with other countries where they say, essentially, there are risks. There's risk with all travel, but they're not saying not to travel. Furthermore, we know people, of course, as you might imagine. I know a lot of people in Israel through the work that we do there, who live there, work there, and are really experts on the situation, and who are conservative in what they tell us. Neither Christian Expedition nor our partners in Israel have, of course, any interest in bringing anybody anywhere that is unsafe. And for the vast majority of what's been going on, we didn't bring anybody to Israel because we were concerned about safety and security at some points, or at other points it was just that we knew it was safe, but people were still worried about going, so it just wasn't feasible. Anyway, our partners in Israel who they've lived through many cycles of this kind of thing. This kind of thing has been happening in Israel, is not new. Maybe in its scope or duration it might be new, but in general it's not new. And our partners in Israel have seen these things come and go for many, many years, and so they know what they're talking about. I'm very confident in them, and they say it's time to come back, and that the areas that we're going to specifically are safe, and not only safe, but also open. The tourist sites are not closed, they're still open. The insurance companies are issuing insurance policies to people going to Israel. And I could give just many, many other examples of reasons why we are confident in the safety of the country. If something big changes and we're not, then of course we wouldn't go. We wouldn't send anybody anywhere that we didn't feel very confident about that place's safety. Okay. Let me go on to the next, please. So why Israel? I think you guys probably already know. I probably don't have to say too much about it. Most of the Bible took place in Israel. And I spoke to this already a little bit. You'll never read the Bible the same when you drive a bus up to Jerusalem, and every time you read about going up to Jerusalem again, or when you go and see En Gedi and you see the place where David and Saul encountered each other, and David had the opportunity to take Saul's life, but he didn't. You'll be standing in En Gedi and see caves, one of which was the cave where that happened. You'll never read the Bible the same way again. It'll deepen your faith and your understanding. It really is cool to realize we all know the events in the Bible were true, happened historically on some level, but to tangibly be able to see and touch and walk on the places where it happened just adds a whole layer that it's kind of hard to even describe until you've experienced it. Has anybody been before to Israel? Quite a few. Okay, so you already, a lot of people already know what I'm talking about. I spoke about a little bit about this already. The only part I didn't speak about on this list is that the food is really good, and it's okay. We don't have to over spiritualize it. It's okay if one of the reasons you want to go is to try authentic Mediterranean and Israeli food, because that's one reason I love to go. Okay, next please. Why now? So the most important reason probably why now is this is when your church is going. And going with your church adds a lot to it. You could go to Israel on your own. Many people have done so. But if you want to pay for a guide to serve you as one person, or a driver to serve you as one person, or as a couple of two people, it's going to be very expensive. When you go as a group, you are getting the benefit of you're splitting the cost of the guide amongst your entire group. So same with the bus driver, same with the bus itself. So it's more cost effective. And going with your church, hearing from your pastor in these places, of course, adds a whole nother element to it as well. And once again, we are confident in its safety, that it's time to go back. What to expect? The weather. Weather is going to be nice this time of year. It'll be actually a little bit cool for Floridians, like in a good way. Whenever I talk about temperature, we work with groups from all over the churches all over the country, and to what's cold to some people is hot to others, and so on. But I live in Florida too, so for us Floridians, it's a little bit. It's cool, not cold, but it feels a little bit nicer than what it's going to feel like here at the same time of year. We're talking about the 70s for the high. The only other aspect I'm going to say something more about on this slide is hassle-free journey. So Christian Expedition, I've told you a little bit about our company already. Just say a few more words about that. We're devoted to making your experience in Israel hassle-free. We want all of you to be able to focus on growing in faith, growing in understanding of the scriptures, growing in your relationships with each other. And to that end, we're here to serve you. We have an office in Fort Lauderdale, which you can call during regular business hours. We have a team of reservations people who you can speak to about any questions or concerns. And while you're traveling on the trip, you'll have access to a 24/7 emergency travel support line, so you'll never be alone in case something happens with your flights or whatever the case may be. We're here for you every step of the way as you prepare to travel and then do travel. So I'm going to say a few words about what the trip includes and what it doesn't include, both of which are very important. It's an 11-day trip. The dates are October 27th to November 6th. And within that, what's included is, first of all, a bus from here at Calvary Chapel, Vero Beach. That's the first thing you're going to experience. There'll be a bus that will pick you up from right here in the church parking lot, and will bring you to Miami. That's included. You'll then be flying from Miami to Tel Aviv, Israel. So round-trip flights, Miami to Tel Aviv to Miami are included. While you're on the trip, breakfast and dinner is served each day. There's 4 lunches that are included. Apart from that, when the lunch is not included, you'll be brought to a place where you can obtain lunch on your own if you want. But the breakfast in the hotels are so big that a lot of people don't even want or need lunch. You'll have a guide. Our guides are all local. They're people that live in Israel that are very smart, very intelligent on the land and its history and its connection to the Bible. Of course, you'll experience awesome teaching by Pastor Jim. I've traveled with Pastor Jim on trips before with pastoral groups we've had and heard his preaching. So that will be a tremendous blessing, I know, to hear Pastor Jim in particular preaching in the land of Israel. Gratuities, meaning tips for hotel staff, are included. Audio devices, you'll have earpieces you can put in so that you can hear what's being said more easily, and you can kind of wander around a little bit and still hear what's being said by the guide or by Pastor Jim. Name badges and luggage tags. I'll take this opportunity I'm skipping over a few things because I know you can read it, but name tags and luggage tags. So if you do come on the trip about 30 days before departure, most likely what we've done before is we've had another meeting here at the church that I will come to and bring these boxes. If that doesn't work that way, then they'll be shipped to you via FedEx. These boxes will include, first of all, a final brochure. This is just a sample from a different trip. And in the brochure, you'll find your flight itinerary, the final itinerary for touring. The itinerary you see on the brochure is, we believe it's going to operate that way, but we call that a promotional itinerary, which is created based on the circumstances as they exist when we write it. The final itinerary is almost always very, very similar, but there might be some slight changes. Instead of doing this on day 3, we do it on day 4, that type of thing. So you'll have the most up-to-date ground itinerary. On the back, you'll have your hotels, the final hotels that are going to be used. You'll also have a letter that goes over some final travel information and a beautiful orange name tag that will stand out because it's bright orange. And luggage tag, so that when your bag comes off of the carousel in Tel Aviv, you'll be able to spot it. Okay, next one, please. So this is also important, what's not included. We want to be 100% transparent so you know what additional costs you might incur or probably will incur beyond the advertised trip price. One thing is travel insurance. There's a slide more about travel insurance later on, but travel insurance is not included in the price of the trip. It's not required, but we recommend that you get it. You can get it through us. When you register, there's a place to notate that you would like a quote. We have to give you an individual quote because the prices are based on individual factors like your age and your total trip cost. So not included, but can be obtained through us. Lunches, again, 4 are included. The other ones, if you want to have lunch, you'll be able to get it, but price is not included. Gratuities for guide and driver. You see the recommended amounts up there. Personal expenses, that's not kind of an obvious one. You might, while you're on the trip, you might want to buy souvenirs. Of course, not included. The cost of meeting any national entry requirements. So this is, for example, if you don't have a passport and you need to get one, of course, that's a cost. If your passport is not going to be valid for a sufficient amount of time and you have to renew it, that would be a cost. Not big numbers, but it would be a cost. Your passport should be valid, by the way, for 6 months beyond the departure date of the trip. That's technically actually not a requirement by Israel, but that's what we strongly recommend because sometimes there's scenarios in which there's just crazy scenarios that could occur where maybe your flight gets diverted to a different country on the way home, and now you're in that country and you don't actually have the ability to enter that country. So just to be really on the safe side, we strongly recommend 6 months of passport validity beyond the departure date of your trip, which is November 6th. That date is on the brochure, what that exact date's on the brochure. And finally, under this category of national entry requirements, Israel has instituted what they call an ETA, which is an electronic travel authorization, which is another way for saying another way to get some money from you. unfortunately. A lot of countries are doing it. The UK has done it. Continental Europe is doing it, the EU. But they're I'm grateful for their bureaucratic inefficiency because they keep saying it's going to go into effect next month and they push it back. So they're about to do it in the EU as well. Israel has done it. It's not expensive. It's only $8 per person. But what that's going to entail is simply as you get closer to the trip, you'll have to go online and enter in some information from your passport and pay them about $8 is what it costs currently. And then you'll get something back that you can just bring and show when you enter the country. Okay, if you go to next, please. So the itinerary, I'll go through it. Try not to take too long because you do have a copy of it, and you can study it a little bit more. But Monday, October 7th, this is the day that we leave CCVB, drive to Miami, and fly overnight to Tel Aviv. Most likely on the flight, there's going to be a stop. The airline situation is not 100% normal right now. Vast majority of airlines have returned to Israel, but just in terms of they don't have all the options that they previously had. By the time of your trip, they probably will, in fact. We do have a flight for the group right now, which is subject to change, but it's a Swiss Airlines flight that has one stop going, one stop coming back home. So again, the flights will be in your final brochure, definitively confirmed, but those are the flights that we're currently holding for the group. Go to the next, there we go, okay. So day 2, so we're flying overnight, and day 2 we arrive in Tel Aviv. We'll be met by our driver and guide, help us to the bus, bring us to the hotel, and whatever remains of the day, it might be evening already, probably will be, but that evening you'll have at leisure to explore the area around Tel Aviv. The hotel is actually in Netanya, which is a city in the metropolitan Tel Aviv area, Leonardo Plaza. Day 3 is actually day 1 of actual touring. So on this day, we go to Caesarea Maritima, which Pastor Jim has already mentioned. Megiddo, from Tel Megiddo. Megiddo is an ancient site that a tell has formed, so it's a hill buried on top of layers of settlement. And from there you see the Armageddon Valley, where the final battle between good and evil is going to one day unfold. Beautiful views, from that perspective, just a beautiful natural place, but also significant in that it's where the final battle that Revelation describes is going to take place. We'll go to Nazareth. This is, of course, the hometown of Jesus, and we see Nazareth Village. Nazareth is actually a pretty big and modern city currently, but they have a recreation of life in Nazareth at the time of Jesus, which they call Nazareth Village, which we'll visit there. And then we leave there and we head to the Sea of Galilee, and on the way we pass Cana, where Jesus performed his first miracle. I don't think we'll have time to stop in Cana. It's a very busy day, but we'll pass right by that area. Day 4, which this is now day 2 of touring, Mount of Beatitudes. We'll see the place where the Sermon on the Mount is believed to occur, at least a potential site. By the way, as we talk about a lot of these places, there's really 3 categories. There's places where it's a traditional site, where for a long time people have identified this as the site where a certain thing happened, but there's really not that good of archaeological or historical evidence to believe that. Number 2, there's sites where it's a likely site, where it's likely that it happened here. There is some archaeological evidence and historical evidence, but there's also other alternative sites that also are possibilities. And then there's a lot of sites, which are probably all of our favorite ones. That's the ones where we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that either Jesus stood here or he did this miracle here. So the Mount of Beatitudes, I would say, is somewhere around the first two things I said, but wherever it happened, it was somewhere close by to there. So you'll get a sense of what the scene was like during the Sermon on the Mount. Capernaum is it's my favorite site in the Galilee area, I would say. Capernaum is a place where we know with great confidence that Jesus was there. We'll see the synagogue where Jesus taught, where a man was lowered through the ceiling. His friends brought him to meet Jesus. And not far away, we'll see the house where Jesus healed the mother-in-law of Peter. If you read the gospel account, she had a fever, and Jesus healed her in this house. And stunningly, we know where it is, and we can go to, and we see it. They've actually built a structure over it that looks like a spaceship, and I don't think that was a great idea, but it's to look down. You look down through this structure into this home where we know Jesus was and performed a miracle. Magdala, this is the hometown of Mary Magdalene. Oh, before I go there, lunch this is one of the days where lunch is included. We'll have what's called a St. Peter's fish lunch, where we eat the kind of fish from the Sea of Galilee that they ate in the time of Jesus. Sometimes they say it's fish from the Sea of Galilee. I don't know if they're really telling the truth, so I'm not going to say that, but I want to be very honest. But some people say St. Peter's lunch is fish from the sea. It might have been raised on a farm somewhere else, but anyway, it's the kind of fish that they ate in Jesus' day. It's the kind of fish that are in the Sea of Galilee, and it's a cool experience. It's a fun experience. Magdala, hometown of Mary Magdalene, is a first century synagogue, maybe one of the oldest synagogues on the Sea of Galilee. Very, very likely, almost for sure, that Jesus taught in that synagogue. And the Yardenite baptismal site. So we'll go to the Jordan River and to a place that's been created to be baptized in the same river that Jesus was baptized in. This is not the area of the Jordan River where Jesus was baptized, but which we'll see later on. But the area where he himself was baptized, you probably wouldn't want to get baptized anymore because it's dirty and kind of gross, and you might get sick if you go in there. Some people do, though. Anyway, so we'll be on the Jordan River this afternoon, opportunity to be baptized. We put that right before you go back to the hotel, so if you do go in the water, you'll be all wet, but you'll be going right back to the hotel, which, by the way, in Sea of Galilee, which we plan to stay in the Ron Beach Hotel is the name of it. Day 5, so today we go to the Valley of Tears, the site of a battle. This is more to do with Israel's geopolitical history, which is also very interesting and important. We'll see Mount Hermon. There's two potential sites for the transfiguration of Jesus. Mount Hermon is one of them. Nimrod's castle, this is a Crusader-era castle. And also the two big biblical sites of the day, Caesarea Philippi, where Peter made his confession that Jesus is the Christ, and Tel Dan, which is an Old Testament city and the site of the headwaters of the Jordan River. This day in particular, these places are open. You can go to these places right now. These places are close to the border with Syria, but they're not that close. They're miles and miles away. If you look at the U.S. Department of State travel information, they say not to go within, I think it's 2.4 kilometers of the border with Syria, something like that. So these sites are not that close, but they are further north. So this day in particular, if anything happens in the north, this day is subject to modification, as to some extent the itinerary in general is. But we don't anticipate that. We anticipate you'll be able to see all these places, Tel Dan, Caesarea Philippi, and the others. So this is the day that we leave the area of the Sea of Galilee, we will have been staying at Ron Beach near the Sea of Galilee for the last few days. On this day, we head south, and we'll stop at Beth Shean. This is the place where it's an ancient city. It's a huge set of ruins, very impressive set of ruins. And this is the place where after Saul was killed on Mount Gilboa, he was brought by the Philistines to Beth Shean, and the Bible says that they hung his body on the walls of this city. So we'll probably see Mount Gilboa. The guide will probably point out Mount Gilboa from the road, and then you'll come to this city where the body of King Saul was hanged after he was killed. Gideon's Spring, this is the place where Gideon chose 300 men for battle based upon how they drank water out of the spring. We'll have a picnic lunch here. Lunch being included also on this day. We'll continue further south. This whole day we're basically making our way, if you look at it on a map, south from the Sea of Galilee down to the Dead Sea. So continuing south, we'll come to Qasr al-Yahud, which is another spot on the Jordan River. This is the spot where approximately Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. It's approximately the spot where the Israelites entered the Promised Land after their 40 years in the desert. And it's also roughly the area where we believe that Elijah ascended to heaven in the chariot of fire. We'll keep going south to the Dead Sea. So we'll wind up at the Dead Sea. And in particular, we plan to stay at the David Resort and Spa on this day, on this night. Day 7, Sunday, November 2nd, we'll visit Masada, which is an important place in Jewish history where the Jewish zealots had a famous last stand against the Romans. It's a mountaintop fortress, and from the top of this mountain, you'll take a cable car up to the mountain, and from the top of the mountain, you'll be able to take in magnificent views of the Dead Sea and desert area in the south of Israel. We'll visit En-Gedi, which I mentioned already. That's where David and Saul had that encounter where David had the opportunity to take Saul's life but refrained from doing so. And also David wrote many of the Psalms here in En-Gedi. We'll come back to the Dead Sea Resort so you get a time to breathe a little bit. The pace up until this point will have been pretty fast, but we'll have an opportunity to rest up, enjoy the Dead Sea. Okay, day 8, please. Day 8, we visit Qumran, and where the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, and many areas within Jerusalem. We go up the Temple Mount, Pool of Bethesda, where John healed the paralyzed man in John 5, Mount of Olives, the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus agonized before his crucifixion, the City of David, the original site of Jerusalem, including Hezekiah's tunnel and the Pool of Siloam, where another healing took place. Day 9, we visit Yad Vashem and the Israel Museum, Yad Vashem being the Holocaust Museum in Israel, and then the regular Israel Museum. Beth Shemesh, Philistine country, where we'll see the Valley of Elah, where David had his encounter with Goliath, and we'll take in a view of Bethlehem. This day we see Mount Zion, the Cenacle, which is where the Last Supper is believed to have taken place. And we walk the Via Dolorosa. This is the route that it's believed Jesus took on the way to the crucifixion. And we see Calvary and the Garden Tomb. There's 2 sites potentially of Jesus' burial and resurrection, one at the end of the Via Dolorosa and one called the Garden Tomb. So we'll see both. Time to go home. So your flight may leave either this morning or late the preceding night, but either way, you'll fly Tel Aviv back to Miami. And when you arrive, there'll be a bus that will bring you back here to CCVB. Activity level is moderate. It was not going to be too strenuous. You may walk up to 2 to 5 miles a day, but this is broken up by time on the bus. There's not any one time when you would walk that distance, so there's a lot of time to rest. Food, try all the food. These foods and more. Falafel, shawarma, Jerusalem bread. Israel has a tremendous cuisine. You do need a passport to travel to Israel. We talked a little bit about the requirements for that, as well as the ETA. Currency is the shekel. Anyway, so some of these things will be reiterated at the final information meeting, so we can go to the next. Generally, Wi-Fi is available throughout the trip, meaning on the bus and in the hotel. In some cases, it's not, but you will have pretty regular access to Wi-Fi. All right, next, please. Roommates, if you're traveling with a roommate, if you register, first of all, with somebody else on the same reservation form or in the same reservation online, we'll know that you are rooming together. If you are registering by yourself but you want to room with somebody else, you can make a note. There's places both on the paper form and on the online form to note who you want to room with. Or you could select, there's an option to select if you are traveling by yourself and you want a roommate but you don't know who that is. You just want us to assign a roommate to you. So if you do that, we'll make every effort to assign you to a roommate. The cost is $46.50 in double is the cost. That means per person sharing a room with somebody else. If you want to have a private room or if there's no roommate for you and you wind up with a private room, that adds $1,300 to the cost. The reservation's complete when you complete the registration process, which you can do either by filling out the form that you were handed earlier on, or you can do it online and pay the initial deposit of $450. That $450, out of that, $250 is refundable for any reason or no reason up until 90 days before the trip's departure. So we have the deposit, and then the final payment is due in July 29th. And you'll see here some information about cancellation. I mentioned a little bit of that already. It's all defined more specifically in the brochure if you want to read these terms. Essentially, outside of 90 days, again, you can be refunded anything you paid for any reason or no reason, less $200 a person. Inside 90 days, it's not so simple, unfortunately, and refundability is determined based on what we can recover from our suppliers. The reason for the 90-day deadline is that's when we start sending your money to other people, so we don't have it. It goes to the airlines, the hotels, and so on. But of course, if you have to cancel, we'll try to get back everything we can for you. But also, this is a reason why travel insurance is recommended. So we work with a company named Allianz. Once again, if you're interested in insurance from them, you can notate that on your reservation. We'll give you a quote. And we can also send you brochures that will detail what exactly is covered by each one. There's a lot of different information that I can't summarize right now, but I can send you a brochure that will show you everything that's covered or not covered under a few different insurance policies. All right, so again, hope that you bear with us in Israel. Thank you for being at the meeting. Thank you for considering. If you have any further questions, we're going to have a Q&A right now, but if you think of anything else or you want to register, you can give us a call at the number listed here on your brochure. The trip's also on our webpage, our website. And of course, you can fill out that paper brochure and mail it to us. So, any questions? So we have 70 seats on the plane right now, and the hotel we have the same space for hotels. We might be able to obtain more for both, but 70 currently is what we have space for. I'm sorry, what's that? Yeah, so that all people on the trip are going to be from Calvary, Vero Beach. You're not going to be joined up with any other people, unless somebody, maybe if somebody's family joins, something like that. But we're not going to join you with a different group of people. No. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. No vaccinations are currently required for Israel. Yes. So on your brochure, you'll see minus 1,000 ground only. That means that if you do not want to use the flights that we have for the group, if you want to purchase your own flights, maybe you have miles on a certain airline, or maybe you just prefer a different airline than the airline that we're using, we will deduct $1,000 per person from the cost of your trip, and then you can handle the airfare on your own. That's when you see ground only, that's what that means. Yes. Yeah. Sure, yeah. No, that's a great question. Yeah, day two is essentially an arrival day because we're flying all night. And so whatever time is left over, which there might not be a tremendous amount of time, when you take into account the flight time and then the time change, we lose 7 hours, so we might arrive in the evening. But whatever time we do arrive on that second day, you are then at leisure to do whatever you want to do, and that's a great option, is to go to the Mediterranean Sea, which will be very close by. Yeah. Sure. Yes. As far as dress, there's not, for the trip in general, there's not, and for the vast majority of sites, there's not. There's a few places that might require shoulders and knees to be covered, and it's good to be prepared for that, and that applies to men and women, actually. And if that is the case, your guide will let you know the day before. Make sure you bring a shawl, or in whatever way, be prepared to cover your knees and shoulders for a certain specific site. Yes. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So as far as food, the question was whether it's a choice or whether it's or not. Breakfast and dinner are almost always a buffet, so you'll have a choice in that sense. It's not a plated meal; it's a buffet and a lot of options. Lunches, usually they have probably at least two different things to choose from, so it's not a big variety to choose from. They usually have a set menu for the group where it's maybe two things. If you have any dietary requirements, though, those can all be accommodated. So you can let us know that at the time of reserving, and that can all be accommodated for. Yes. Yes, that's right. Okay. Yeah, so the question was about going to the Temple Mount. So we do plan to go to the Temple Mount. We are permitted to go to the Temple Mount, except during Ramadan, which this trip is not during Ramadan. So we do plan to ascend the Temple Mount. Yeah. Yes, we'll be at the Western Wall. Generally, we see the Western Wall, and we're in that plaza, and then from there go up to the Temple Mount. So it'll probably work out that way, but for sure we will be planning to go to both places. Yeah. Welcome. Yes. Yeah. So for the St. Peter's fish lunch, there will definitely there's always non-fish options that are available, and usually something more substantial than salad. They'll have something else, some type of meat. So, but they do always bring salad also. That's very, yeah. Yeah, we have people that travel frequently that have a walker, and even in some cases, people that use wheelchairs on the trip. There might be a couple of places, specific places on the itinerary that you might not choose to participate in, but overall, we do have people that use a walker. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Hmm. Yes. Hmm. Yes. The flight time, if you're going direct to Israel, is something like 11 to 12 hours. It's more likely going to be something like a 7 or 8 hour trip to a European connection point, and then another 4 to 5 hours, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, so you can upgrade your flights. You can note that at the time of reservation, or you can let us know later on if you like to upgrade to premium economy or business class. If you want to do that on the group flight with the group, that's of course pending availability. But if you just want to do something totally separate so you can be sure you get business class or premium economy, we can help you with that. Yes. Yeah, in some places, men's knees do have to be covered. I'm not sure if there's places on this itinerary where this is even applicable, but in some places in Israel that is the case. And if you don't cover your knees, then they give you a skirt that they make you put on.
So the in the Galilee, there's a couple of sites that they are, for instance, the site at Capernaum. It's a Catholic site, and so they have restrictions on what you can wear or not wear. And so that's one place. But the sign says no short shorts. So, man, if you're planning on going in your dolphin shorts, you can't do that day. But if you're cargo shorts down here, that's not going to be an issue. In Jerusalem, when we go in, there's he mentioned two sites, possible crucifixion sites. There is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is a church actually divided by 4 different denominations, have portions in there, and going in there, there's a little bit of restriction on dress. But then when we go to the other site, the Garden Tomb site, there's not restriction on that. So there's only a couple spots. How you're dressed right now, you're okay for everywhere that we go. Okay, there's not one person that's going to get flagged that's in this room right now. So, and then food, imagine a room at least as big as this room, probably twice the size of this room. It will be the dining rooms at the hotels. And there'll be 3 probably different locations of food as long as the stage here with food options. And just picture Mediterranean food. Okay, so all sorts of salads and all sorts of side dishes and rice. They're all kosher, which means they don't serve meat and dairy at the same time. So in the morning for breakfast, there's no meat, but there's cappuccinos. At lunch, and dinner, there'll be meat, but there'll be no dairy. So you see all these amazing looking desserts, and they're all made with no dairy. So if you're a non-dairy person, you've gone to heaven. Okay? And so anyway, so the food, there's every food choice you can imagine, unless you're one of those people you only eat McDonald's hamburgers. In that case, you'll be unhappy. Okay? So, but those are those 2 things. And then the Mediterranean, I will jump in the Mediterranean no matter how late it is when we arrive with you. Okay? So we're all in.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't make. We had 2 at the same time. I'm sorry about that. But let's start up here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, the water in Israel is safe. Yeah, it's you might not like the taste of it, but I think it's fine. But yeah, you might prefer bottled water, but it's generally safe to drink in Israel. Yeah. Yes.
We get back, we're pretty tired.
Yes. It's probably 85% that we're going to use that. We would. The reason I say it's not certain is that if we found an even better option came up that would be better for you guys, then we would take it. But the option we have currently is, I think, pretty good in terms of the connection times and things like that. So I think it's very likely, though not 100% certain for that reason. Yes. Yeah, I think for the most part it's very safe, both in the north and in the south in Jerusalem. We don't especially the places that we stay in. They're in areas that are nice areas. So walking in the vicinity of the hotels is safe. If you take a taxi to some random part of the city, it might be a different story. But walking in the vicinity of the hotels is quite safe. Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. So,
No, he can come, have a great time. Right behind you, we might have another grandchild coming right behind you, so not him, he's not the grandchild.
yes.
Our son and daughter, 17 and 19.
Oh, you're okay.
I'll jump in the Mediterranean with them too.
Yes. Yeah, we're stopping at the vast majority of places. Like, yeah. There's a couple. It's only very few, like Cana, for example, where it's a drive-by, and I believe we're only driving by Nimrod's castle. But the vast majority of the places in the itinerary you will be seeing, almost 98% of them you'll be stopping at. Yes, yeah, we'll take a cable car all the way to the top, and we'll have time up there to explore. I'd say a couple hours is probably roughly accurate. Yeah. I believe it's Zurich. I have to double check because I didn't bring it with me as it wasn't 100% locked in. But so off the top of my head, I believe it's Zurich.
So if you were doing a tour for a friend in Vero, so you take them to the highlights of Vero, which would be Calvary and Salvi and the beach, but then you'd also say, oh, right here, this is where such and such, and this is where such. So to answer that question, everywhere on there except when he pointed out, we stop, we get off, we see the size. In addition to that, the guide is communicating while we're on the bus because there's so many other things that are happening. And what they'll do is they'll be pointing out geographical, historical, biblical things. They'll also be pointing out some of the modern things. And then what we'll do, we have loads of friends that are in ministry. And so on at least a couple occasions, we'll have local Israeli pastors come and share with the group, do a teaching, maybe when we're in like Haifa area or a couple of those places. So that's an added benefit of the fact that we go a lot. So,
Yes.
Cash, if you bring cash, or should you just do credit card for everything over there?
There's a couple scenarios where it would be handy to have cash. That was the question: should you have cash or only card? The guide tip would be one example of that, and there's maybe a few others. So most of the time, it will make probably most sense to use a credit card or debit card, and it is safe to use them there. If there's any concern about that in a particular location, your guide will tell you that, but it is very safe to use your cards there, and cards are widely accepted. Yeah. For the guides, they'll be very happy with whatever you give them. So they'll take either currency, shekel or dollar. And stores and things like that, you'll probably need, depending on the store, you might have to use shekels. The best way to get, I think the best way to get shekels is you can make a withdrawal from an ATM in Israel just like you would do from an ATM here, and it'll draw from your bank account, but it'll be shekels that will come out of the machine. And that's, I think, the best way to do it. And it saves you doing it that way on fees and conversion fees. Yes. Yeah. Neither Pastor Jim nor I can recall ever encountering that, so I would feel confident saying no, you don't. Yeah, agrees. It depends on the size. If we exceed somewhere around 50, we would have to have two. So I'm not sure if that's gonna if the church even wants to do that or if that's gonna happen. But if we did, then we would have two. But I think but 50 or less, it would all be on one bus.
You can keep asking questions as long as you want. Trey's comfortable here. We got him a nice stool. I need to run off to the baptism, so I will see you guys soon. So I'm going to leave it to Trey.
Thank you. Okay, I guess if you have any questions for me, I'll be here afterwards, so you can ask them individually. So thank you so much for coming.